Welcome to Ink and Fitness. For those who are new to my channel, my name is Anthony. I'm someone who went from skinny to fit, and these videos are purely educational. So this way, if you guys are also a skinny individual, you can take what you're learning, apply it, be consistent with it, and get your own results. In terms of the video topic for today, we're going to be talking about the 5 best workout tips for tall, skinny guys. So if you have paper and pen ready, get it out. So this way we can go ahead and go through a couple different slides of good notes for you guys to take. So this way you implement what you're learning, and most importantly, just be consistent with it. So the first step is just working with high intensity or working out with high intensity. Some of you might be asking, for those who don't know what this means, what even is training with high intensity? What does it look like? What is it in general? And basically, what this means is that you do a given exercise until you can't complete one full rep anymore. So by training in this way, not only are we being efficient with our time inside of the gym, but we're literally maximizing each single rep that we're performing. And so you'll find that in training in this way, you can't do 4 sets of this specifically because it's going to get to be too much. And also 4 sets, 5 sets, it's a little bit too high volume, right? And so when we train in this way, it's ideal that we train in a low volume approach. So this way, we make both of those sets count, we don't overly exhaust ourselves, and that we can keep up the performance on a week-to-week basis consistently instead of these training sessions. Secondly is progressive overload. For those of you who don't know what progressive overload is, just to give you like a rough example of what it is, um, one week we will do bicep curls for 20 pounds. So that's, a moderate weight for an example here, right? Where we can control the exercise movement all the way through without having, to ego lift or to swing our body around. So we perform a 20-pound bicep curl for 2 sets of 6 to 8 reps, as that is the range where we will typically hit failure if we pick a moderate weight. If we end up hitting the top of the rep range, so 8, with proper form for both sets, then the following week we will increase the weight by 2.5 to 5 pounds. So this way we can repeat the process all over again. So in the next example that I could give you guys is that since you were able to do 20 pounds for the given rep and set scheme with proper form, the next week you'd bump it up to 25 pounds and you would just repeat that process, right? And you might not get 25 pounds the next week just because it is a new weight, your body's not used to it yet, and you might reach reps number 5 or 6, right? And that's totally okay. You basically just go until you reach the top of the rep range 8 again, and then you just increase the weight again gradually and repeat that entire cycle. So this is what's going to allow for us to build muscle. It gets stronger essentially. And just so you guys know, this is kind of more so like an FYI more than anything else. You do not have to implement this at all whatsoever. If anything, I would advise against it unless you feel like you want to try it out. But there are 3 different ways to progressively overload. Number 1 is what we just talked about here, increasing the weight gradually. Number 2 is increasing reps. And number 3 is increasing sets. They're all good ways to progressively overload, but you know, the popular way to progressive overload is just by increasing the weight. So personally for me, that's what works best for me. It's a lot more simplistic that way as well and easier to keep track of. So that's why I always say just go ahead and progressive overload with just increasing the weight. You don't need to do anything crazy, such as, I mean, it's not even crazy, but it's just a matter of preference at that point. But personally for me, I prefer to just keep track of the weight that keeps increasing, um, other than keeping track of the reps and the sets that I'm increasing. It's a little bit more easier for me. Number 3 is proper form. So form will always matter more than weight. I don't care what you hear out there online. People saying that, you need to lift some heavy ass weight to gain muscle and strength, right? Perhaps to gain strength, yes, but in terms of hypertrophy training, no, that's garbage advice. A form will always matter more than weight. Without a shadow of a doubt, form will always matter more than weight. Get that inside of your head. Form will always matter more than weight. So if you end up performing an exercise with improper form, you just increase the chances of you getting injured. Or you making minimal gains, or you're just wasting your time inside of the gym. And 10 times out of 10, it's a combo of all these three things that you're gonna essentially increase your chances of making, right? So getting injured, making minimal gains, and just wasting your time inside of the gym. Heavy on the injured part, because you don't want to tweak some shit, right? If you're doing deadlifts and you're lifting a crazy amount of weight that you're not supposed to be lifting or have no business in lifting, you could possibly tweak something in your lower back or just your back in general. You could break your back. There's people who literally break their backs on deadlifts because they're lifting heavy weights that they should not be lifting, right? I'm not saying that you're going to break your back immediately by performing a couple reps of deadlifts. The only reason you will ever injure yourself in deadlifts or any exercise is because you are lifting a weight that's way too heavy and that you have no business in lifting. In terms of a proper Cowden scheme when it comes to your form that you guys should follow, or that I would at least recommend you guys follow, is the Cowden scheme that I like to use personally. And it's 3-1 explode. And just to give you more context on what that means, 3 means 3 seconds on the way down of the movement. So bicep curls, for example, the way down of the bicep curl is just, you're literally curling down. Another example would be squats. What's the down or negative portion of the squat movement? It's when you're going down, right? When you're getting your ass to the grass, when you're getting your ass to the ground, when your ass is in the pocket, right? Seated row machine or barbell rows, bent over barbell rows. What's the negative part of that movement or the way down of that movement? It's when you literally go down on the movement, right? And you feel that nice stretch at the bottom. So that's the part down of the movement. One is referring to 1 second, a 1 second pause, excuse me, at the bottom of the movement. So again, bicep curl, that'd be, when you're fully locked out at the bottom portion of the movement. For squat, it'd be when you're in the pocket of the movement. So when you're all the way down and your quads are stretched. For the bend over barbell row, it's when your arms are fully lengthened down and you're, essentially you have the barbell, almost on the ground, but not entirely because you're still keeping the tension there. And then explode basically just means explode on the way up the movement. So bicep curl, just explode up, the squat, explode up, and then the, bent over barbell row, explode up, right? Feel that contraction. You don't need to have a pause in the contraction at all whatsoever. The most the most hypertrophic part of any exercise movement is the negative and the stretch portion, the way down of the movement, and the slight pause of the movement. That is the most hypertrophic part of any exercise movement. So by following this method or this Cowden scheme, you will hit failure within that 6 to 8 rep range. You're making every rep count. You're going to minimize the risk of you getting injured. If anything, I would say you're eliminating the chances of you getting injured because you're training in a safe and proper way, and you're progressively overloading effectively. Now, as far as rest time goes, rest times that I would recommend are typically or should typically be around the 3 to 5 minute mark. Because if we are truly training with intensity, then we need to make sure that we're getting all the rest that we can get, right? Because if we're getting only 60 to 90 seconds worth of rest, like I would do way back then when I first started out my fitness journey, and if you truly are training with intensity, you're not going to carry that same intensity you did the first set for the second set if you're only resting for a minute to a minute and a half, right? And even if you do feel fully recovered, then I implore you to exert yourself a little bit more on each of your sets because you're likely not hitting failure. You're likely not training with enough intensity. The reason why I have 3 to 5 minutes is 3 minutes is usually for isolation movements. So movements or exercises that require just one muscle group being worked, while compound lifts, so like deadlift, squats, bench press, um, exercise movements that require more than one muscle group to be worked are likely gonna, take you a little bit longer to rest from, right? Catch your breath, feel ready to hit the next set. So that's why I say 5 minutes, because 5 minutes are more so for compound lifts and 3 minutes are more so for isolation lifts. But you do you, see what works best for you. If anything though, if you're resting for 60 to 90 seconds, I implore you to reflect on your training and see if you truly are exerting yourself to the level you could be exerting yourself. And then last but not least, we have frequency. So make an effort to hit each muscle group at least twice per week. Studies have shown that it maximizes muscle growth. It's great for hypertrophy training. And there's a bunch of training splits out there that you can pick that allows for you to do this, right? Upper body, lower body, full body splits, push pull legs, whatever works best for your training schedule, right? So, for example, if you can only dedicate twice a week to the gym, you can still hit each muscle group twice per week by just simply doing 2 full body days. You don't need to do any of these crazy things. You don't need to go to the gym 6 times per week, 2 hours, 3 hours a day, just to see great results. It's all about training smarter and harder at the same time. And by training smarter, this means that we're focusing on our form. We're taking adequate rest times. We're taking our rest and recovery seriously. We're eating, our eating and nutrition are also dialed in. If I haven't mentioned it already, we're training till failure. We're training with high intensity. We're cutting the sets in half to 2, so this way we can maximize and be efficient within our time inside of the gym. So there you have it for today, though, guys. That covers it for the video for today. If there's anything specific that you all want to see, please just make sure to leave that down below in the comment section. Other than that, please make sure to like and subscribe. If you are someone looking for a more personalized approach when it comes to this whole fitness thing, right? You want a more personalized game plan for yourself, then feel free to check out the link to one-to-one coaching will be down below in the description. So feel free to check that out. But until the next one, though, take care, you all. Much love to you all. Peace.